Hello everyone, my name is Michael. Now you probably remember me from other glimpses. Aiden is on sick leave today, so the jacket is mine. So this morning was a very special morning because we got to meet with Chuck Ealey, the main character of the book, The Stone Thrower. We spent a lot of time with him and we asked him questions, and his answers were terrific. I hope you enjoyed this glimpse. Hello, Mr. Ealey. My name is Michael. This is a two-part question. We have been taught to be very careful around railway crossings. Did your mom know you were hanging out there? And what made you think of picking up a stone to throw at a train?
Okay, two good questions. Where I grew up, there was a railroad track that ran right through the heart or the middle of our town, Michael. So it was a natural thing, and they had crossings and everything. And your mother always taught you, to be safe when you got close to the railroad tracks. Like around here, you don't have to deal with railroad tracks. But in our town, that was right in the middle of where I lived. Like my aunt and my cousins lived on one side of the railroad track, I lived on the other side. So we knew when trains came through at different times, because of the crossings, it was very safe. It was very safe unless you put yourself there. The other question about what made me pick up the rock and stow at the train, what I wanted to do was get better. You may not know the position I played, but I played as a quarterback and threw the ball to make sure that the receiver caught it down the field. And because of that, you had to have a certain amount of timing to anticipate, because if you threw it and they were running, you threw it at the spot where they started to run from, then you would miss them. So you had to anticipate that they were going to run to a spot, and you would time it and you would throw it to that spot and they could catch it.
Like throw where the person's going to be, not where it's going to be.
Right, absolutely. So when I could go to the railroad track, these were big coal cars. They weren't cars that had people on them. There wasn't a train that had people on them. They carried coal and they were metal, so you couldn't hurt them with a rock. You couldn't hurt the train. So I would throw anticipating the letters on the train with the N and W, and I would aim at those spots as they would move. So the train would come in very slow, and then it would pick up speed. So I would get an idea of different times of throwing to a receiver. So that's why I picked up the rocks to learn how to throw better and hit my receiver.
Good morning, Mr. Ealey. My name is Pavarsi, and welcome to Parkfield Junior School. The book talks about segregation. Our community and our classroom is full of so much diversity. It is so hard to imagine us not getting along. Did you have any white friends in school?
I went to a school where there were only 5 black students in a school of all white kids. So I did go to a school that was all white for the most part. And I was one of 5 kids that were African American, as they call it now, and black student. So I had a lot of friends because I had classmates that were white. But just the society at the time when I was growing up had all of these issues that would color and race. And in some degree, they still can have some of those, which is a lot different than Canada, living in Canada with the great deal of diversity that Canada has. So it was one of those things that you learn how to live with through that time.
Good morning, Mr. Ealey.
Good morning.
My name is Todd. Thank you for coming to Parkfield Junior School. Your football scholarship gave you the opportunity to get a strong education. How does somebody get a scholarship, and what did you study in school?
How somebody gets a scholarship in the United States is if you played sports very well, whether it be soccer, lacrosse, cricket, whatever sport that you played well, they will give you an opportunity to go to that university to play for them, because they want the best players at their school. So they'll say, you come to our school and you play, then we'll pay for your ability to go to school. But they also give it to you for your academics and your study too. So if you're a good student, they also can get a scholarship there as well. So they want to have the best people in sport and in schooling and academics that they can have. So that's how I got mine, because I was good in football.
Good morning, Mr. Ealey.
Good morning.
The Glimpse team would like to ask you a few questions. After you were retired from football, what did you do to keep busy? Did you get another job?
After I finished football, I went to work for a company a farm equipment company called John Deere, and it was saying we sold lawn and garden tractors and farm equipment and that type of thing. And then after that, after I did that, I went to work. I did some work for CBC Television, and then I went to work with a company called Investors Group, where I still right now, where I'm a financial advisor. We're talking about the financial thing, the thing I studied in university. So I'm using the financial information to help people build financial security, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm kind of retired, but not totally retired.
The Glimpse team is also collaborating with your grandson Marcus. We learned that he played football, basketball, and lacrosse. What advice do you have for kids like him who play competitive sports?
It's funny because I watch Marcus play quite a bit. I think the avenue of there, first of all, you want to play sports because you want to have fun. You want to do the best that you can do at it, so you have to practice and you have to work at it if you want to be the best that you could play. You're working and learn how to play with other people, so that will take you a long way further in life as you get older and older. Just like you're doing here as a group, you learn that in sport too. You learn teamwork, you learn how to communicate and talk to other people, how to respect other people. So there's a lot of lessons inside the team sports that you can learn from those things as you begin to grow older, that begin to be a part of your older life when you have a family and you have other things that you want to build on. So.
Hello, Mr. Ealey. My name is Shmuel, and the Glimpse team is honored to meet you.
Okay, thank you.
You lived in the United States, and now you're living in Canada. What do you think is the biggest difference between those two countries?
I think, and sometimes I speak to big companies and they ask me the same thing coming from the States and here. And I think if you look around the room here within yourself, the biggest difference for me to see is the diversity and the commonality of everybody being the same, even though there's different colors, different backgrounds, different cultures. That cultural thing doesn't resonate throughout the whole United States in the same way. But yet and still, it is an avenue where they're growing to have more diversity there. But right now, when I first came to Canada, it was kind of automatic. It was there already. And that is the biggest one thing, and therefore you see everybody the same, and versus seeing this person this way and this person and clashing that way. So that's what it is.
After the 6 scripted questions, Chuck Ealey took some randomized questions from the big audience that we had, including the grade 5s.
Did you actually play in the NFL?
No, I did not play in the NFL, and that's a very interesting question, because that question, at the time when you talk about segregation, and I hate to say this, but it was reality. At the time I came out of university, they did not have African American or black quarterbacks allowed to play in the NFL. They did not there. That's why I came to Canada, because Canada gave me that chance to play that position here. Now they had African American players, but nobody was quarterback in my position. So I wanted to play my position, so I came to.
We asked him if he was still interested in football.
I'm more interested in watching, obviously, watching my grandkids play and participate in sport. I watch some of it on TV still, but I'm not as involved with it as I was when I was many years ago when I first started playing.
We asked him what else did he do as a kid other than throw stones at trains.
Understanding what I did with the throwing with the train thing, that was to make me better. But anytime I wasn't doing it, I didn't didn't occupy my life. That was part of a process. I enjoyed playing other sports, being involved with other things within the community. So I did a lot of other things. The avenue with the train and throwing the rock was an avenue to practice. But I also played basketball, baseball, ran track. And so when I wasn't in the football season and getting ready for that, I was playing baseball, playing basketball a great deal. And I was doing things to practice those areas as well.
We also asked about his relationship with his father.
My dad and mom were divorced or split up when I was 4 or 5. I only lived with my mom. My dad lived in the same town, but we did not have a father-son relationship at all. And that's one of the harder parts too about growing up with just your mother. But some of us do that, and my mother sort of played the role of both a mother and a father in the context. So I did not have a great contact with my biological dad.
We wondered if he was disappointed with the community he grew up in.
At the time you're growing up in that type of environment, you don't know anything else. You don't know anything different. You only know what was happening. I shouldn't say disappointed. I wish it was better out in the whole world, and that there were class systems, there were color barriers, there were social barriers to create people not to love and care for each other.
We asked him what he would have done if football wasn't an option.
I don't know, whatever would be out there that they invented, I would play. Because I think that was the joy of playing sport growing up, is the competitive and the fun and the challenge of winning and enjoying it, but keeping control of yourself and your emotions, because once you play one game, whether you win or lose, there's another game coming.
Mr. Ealey taught us about the important lessons that you can learn from winning and losing.
The object of the game it depends on what level you're at, is to play and to enjoy the game, but it's a challenge for the avenue of competing. And if you're in a very highly competitive area, you're challenged to win, and if you don't win, you could be upset. But then it teaches you how to get control and start over again, because there's another day coming, another game coming. And I think that sometimes in losing, you can learn how to win better and better, because you would be looking at, okay, what mistakes can I learn from that?
Mr. Ealey challenged us to reflect on what it means to be perfect.
Practice doesn't make perfect, but what they were trying to say, you can never stop bettering your best. So there's no such thing as perfection, because it's a target, but you can never stop bettering your best. So practice makes you better and better and better, and you keep improving. And it is the concept, the idea that practice makes you perfect. But even what is perfection? Perfection, can you build on that perfection? Whatever you thought that was, can you go a little
We
higher?
learned a lot from Chuck Ealey today, but I think the message that he wanted to leave with us was to always try to have an undefeated spirit. In other words, never give up on yourself.
Here's what I want to leave you with. I was just down in Toledo, and I work with a foundation that we do. And the mission of our foundation is having an undefeated spirit. And that's about an attitude. And just as what has been said, it's about an attitude that you don't quit. You don't give up. And even when you get something that takes you down, you get back up and you keep going, because it's another day.
Mr. Ealey says he's amazed how one little action from many years ago can turn into a big thing now.
It is good to see that the message of just a simple thing that happened many years ago has an impact on the number of people in a number of different
The
ways.
Glimpse team really enjoyed the Stone Thrower book, and to meet its main character is a really big deal. I'm Michael, not Aiden. Thank you and goodbye.
This has been a Glimpse production. Thank you for watching.